Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your Saturday in this fall holiday season to spend some time with us here at Wilmer. My name is Lyon Evan Gillette, and this year I get to serve as the chair for the Lions Vision Research Foundation. I'd like to start with some introductions. So the first thing I'd like to do is to have all the Lions in the room please stand. All the Lions. Stand as able. Okay. Okay, you sit down, please. The next group I'd like to thank or introduce is all the staff from the Wilmer Eye Clinic here at Johns Hopkins. Please stand. And then any guests that are not associated with either group that are just here to learn. Anybody? Yeah. Thank you. Within the Lions, we do have a few dignitaries, so I'd like to start by introducing and just ask him to stand up and wave. International Director John Lawrence. Okay. Sitting next to him are a couple of our past international directors. I'd like to just ask them to wave their hands. Yay. Okay. I know we have several of our district governors here today. Wave your hands. Yay. Okay. And we have several of our vice district governors here. Where are you guys at? Right. So the first thing on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask past District Governor John Schwedge to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in a salute to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing if you're able while I deliver the invocation. O God, who art the creator of the universe, we thank thee for the beauty of this day and all the gifts of thy creation. We ask your blessings upon our Wilmer Lions partnership dedicated to helping those who suffer from low vision. We are thankful for those who labor on our behalf, the eye research and rehabilitation team serving the patients, and the generous Lions and non-Lions who support the team with their donations. We pray for a great meeting. As we begin the national celebration of Thanksgiving, we are grateful we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Help us to have open minds, compassionate hearts, and to make wise decisions. We ask that you protect the men and women of our armed forces who protect us and liberty worldwide. We pray for peace among all nations and tolerance and unity across America. Provide your healing peace to families who have lost loved ones and to those known or unknown to us who may be in distress. We ask your blessings upon the meal we will receive at lunch today and for the hands who prepared it. At the end of Vision Fest, we ask that you guide everyone safely home. We ask all these things in thy name, and we say, Amen, Shalom.
Thank you. Before I go any further, start down the program, we did receive some news for friends of Lion Ken Roderick. He was taken to the hospital this morning, and he's going to be taken over to Washington Medical Center for treatment. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers as we go through the day and the week. So again, thank you for joining us for Lions Vision Research Foundation Rally, Vision Fest, yay, here at Johns Hopkins. It's an honor to welcome you today, both Lions and our healthcare professionals, united in sharing a commitment to improving lives through our work with the Lions Vision Research Foundation. This year, I have the privilege of serving as the chairperson for LVRF. LVRF is a private, nonprofit organization with a singular mission: to minimize the disabilities caused by low vision and blindness. We achieve this through our partnership with the Lions Vision Research and Rehabilitation Center here at Wilmer. Together, we support research, patient care, and rehabilitation programs that transform lives. Let's start by reflecting on something we all recognize: the helper's high. It's that feeling of joy we experience when we make a meaningful difference in someone's life. In Lions, we often talk about when I became a Lion. This is usually directed to a service experience. When you got to deliver food to a hungry family, deliver medical equipment to a needy person, or give a child a gift around the holidays. You get this wonderful feeling as you see the happiness or joy on their part. Your brain releases chemicals, oxytocin, dopamine, and that makes you feel good. It's a wonderful thing that makes us want to do more service. It's a wonderful positive feedback loop. But in reality, most of the work we do as Lions does not have that immediate feedback, right? When we contribute to Lions Club International Foundation for Disaster Relief, we do not see how it helps survivors of earthquakes, floods, hurricanes. But we know that's important, and it's a good thing to do. That's why today's Vision Fest is so important. It bridges that gap by showing us the impact of our service. Today, you'll get to see how your efforts, those countless hours organizing chicken barbecues, bingos, raffles, right, how that pays off and how that makes positive, real-world, life-changing results for people. Your personal and club donations to LVRF are making a profound difference in the lives of individuals. Many of you have already had the chance to tour the Low Vision Center, where lives are being transformed every day. Today, we'll deepen our understanding of that work. We'll hear from Dr. Goldstein about the groundbreaking rehabilitation treatment patients are receiving. We'll hear from Dr. Hussan, who's the fellowship this year, about the visual research or vital research and treatment she's achieving with low vision patients. Work that will continue to benefit countless individuals for years to come. We'll hear from Dr. Dagnelli and Dr. Zong. We'll share their updates on their innovative research, and we'll be moved by patient testimonial. Finally, our keynote speaker, Judge David Tattle, will share his incredible journey, a testament to resilience, determination, and the triumph of the human spirit. By the end of the day, my hope is that you will leave with a deeper understanding of the impact of our work, that you'll be able to bridge that gap of the donations you make and the impact it has, making that connection and having that feeling of joy in your heart. Thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and your passion for service. Let's make today's celebration what we've accomplished and an inspiration to continue changing lives together. Now it's my privilege to introduce our first speaker. It's Dr. Peter J. McDonald. Dr. McDonald is the director and William Holland Wilmer Professor of Ophthalmology at the Wilmer Eye Institute at Johns Hopkins University. A world-renowned expert in corneal disease and surgery, Dr. McDonald has made groundbreaking contributions to corneal transplant, laser refractive surgery, and the treatment of dry eye. A proud graduate of Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, Dr. McDonald's career has taken him from leading departments across the country to directing the largest ophthalmology department in the United States, right here at Wilmer Eye Institute. His work has impacted patients locally, nationally, and globally with over 250 scientific publications, 4 patents, numerous awards and leadership in advanced research on dry eye disease, ocular infections, and gene therapy. Beyond his impressive credentials, Dr. McDonald's passion for advancing vision care and research embodies the very mission we all support through the Lions Vision Research Foundation. Please join me in welcoming, by video, right, Dr. McDonald.
Hello, Lions and Lionesses of MD22. This is Peter McDonald. I'm director of the Wilmer Eye Institute, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here to Vision Fest today. I wish I were enjoying the festivities with you in person. Today, it turns out we're interviewing the best and brightest medical students from around the country, deciding who gets to come to Wilmer for their training. When Wilmer was started 99 years ago, the main purpose was to train the people that would lead our field into the future. And we've been able to do, I think, a lot of that thanks to support of organizations and people like yourselves. And we at Wilmer are very grateful for the impact you have sharing our mission of caring for those with eye disease and struggling with vision loss. Every year at this meeting, I look forward to hearing from some patients who tell us about how the work performed by Dr. Goldstein and her colleagues in our vision rehabilitation service have positively impacted their lives. And a lot of that impact is thanks to you all and the support that you provide for our low vision researchers and our clinic. This is a big year for Wilmer. Come January 1st, we'll be celebrating our centennial. We were organized almost exactly 100 years ago. And during that time, there's been tremendous progress. We're the largest department of ophthalmology in the United States. We do more research than any other department in the United States. We take care of more than 250,000 patients a year. We try to make sure we can let patients get in right away. We try to take care of every patient that wants to come to Wilmer like it's a family member or a mother, and get them in right away and give them the best possible care. And I know that you're going to hear today examples of that, patients who've come to our low vision clinic and had rehabilitation services that have helped them lead their best possible lives and overcome the adversity of the visual challenges that they face. In this past year, we've dedicated 4 more professorships for Wilmer, including rising professorships, which are given to our best and brightest young faculty selected by a committee. And these rising professorships, we call them, get them started sooner with their most exciting, most interesting research projects. And one of these rising professorships is in our low vision rehabilitation research group this year. So we're very, very excited for that. And we're grateful not only to you, but all the other individuals and organizations that support low vision research and low vision rehabilitation for patients here at Wilmer. It's a tough situation for someone like me today. We will have 600 applicants for the 5 training positions at Wilmer each year to train in ophthalmology, to get an ophthalmology residency after medical school. It's one of the most competitive of all residency programs that a medical student in this country can apply for. As a result, we get the top students from the top medical schools applying here. I wish we could take them all, but sadly we can only take 5 a year. And so basically we're reassured for the future that we are going to have the best and brightest young people coming to Wilmer and working with Dr. Goldstein and her colleagues in the low vision rehabilitation group, and getting to hopefully interact with and get to know many of you. On behalf of all of us at Wilmer, I would like to express appreciation that we have to you, the Lions of MD22, as our partners in caring for all the patients that come to see us each year and expect us to do their best to help them. And remember, next year So our centennial will be celebrating our 100th anniversary with you together when you all come back to Wilmer next year. So we're very excited about not only we're pleased with what's happened in the past, we're proud of what people have come before us have accomplished, but we're super excited about the future, what new technologies, stem cells, artificial intelligence, gene therapy, all these things that 10 years ago were science fiction, and now we're so excited about the progress that we're going to make in Wilmer's second century. And we know a lot of that progress and success is because of the support of you Lions and Lionesses of MD22. So on behalf of all of us at Wilmer, thank you very much.
Good morning, Lions, guests, I love that, colleagues and friends. My name is Dr. Judy Goldstein, and I'm the director of the Lions Vision Research and Rehabilitation Center. Thank you for joining us today. Today we celebrate our 33rd years of partnership between Wilmer, LVRF, and MD22. And it's really such a good feeling to know that each of us in this room have somehow contributed or connected to the center and have advanced the field. Serving those with vision impairment is our mission, and your support and generosity make this shared success possible. On the slide in front of you, for those who cannot see, it says, "Thank you, Lions." We're celebrating 103 years of MD22, nearly 100 years at Wilmer, and over 30 years of partnership, with a slide of Dr. Arnold Patz and Helen Keller. In his recorded remarks, Dr. McDonald just highlighted the continued growth and successes at Wilmer. Our people, our support network that sustains those efforts is equally incredible and reassuring. And I know someday we will be successful in preventing vision impairment and blindness for many eye diseases. However, in my mind, what makes Wilmer so unique is its commitment to caring for the current generation of people, the people who experience the effects of vision loss today. Wilmer's commitment to low vision clinical care, research, and training the next generation of low vision clinician scientists is unparalleled, and is our enduring partnership with the Lions of MD22 that has made it possible. You know, who knew in 1925, when Helen Keller attended the Lions Club International Convention, when she challenged the Lions to become Knights of the Blind in the crusade against darkness, that Dr. Arnold Patz would heed that call and foster the cherished and productive partnership that we share today. You know, each year we get together at this rally, we celebrate our relationship, our successes, our aspirations, and it's an opportunity for us at Wilmer to share our progress, but more importantly, to say thank you to you guys for your dedication, for your support, for our programs. You know, it started many years ago. For those who don't know, it started with the establishment of the Research and Rehabilitation Center and your commitment to raise an endowment for research purposes. The Lions always understood the challenges of obtaining funding for research in low vision, the funding for the development of new technology and solutions. But Lions are not the kind of people to wait around. You know, in those early years, the National Institutes of Health was not very keen on funding things in low vision research. But Lions really knew better. You spent hours, days, weekends raising money for the research endowment, which has fostered huge advances in the field. And today you're going to hear about some of those updates going on at the center from both Dr. Zhang and Dr. Daniel Lee. And perhaps you were on the tour this morning and you got to see firsthand. But you can see why NIH has changed its tune, right? The stuff we do here really does commit and transcend to the patient. But I want to take a moment to congratulate Dr. Zhang, who is our inaugural recipient of the Barbara E. Simmerl Rising Professorship. So Dr. Zhang is extraordinarily talented, and I would encourage you, if you have a moment and you see her, stop and talk to her. You'll be very impressed. This rising professorship, as Dr. McDonald just mentioned, offers her supplemental funding during her early stages of her career. And once again, I have to say thank you to you, Lions, because you kept the doors open early on when we didn't have the funding to do the research we do now. And this research informs how we deliver care, how we can do better as doctors and therapists. You will have the opportunity to hear today from one of our amazing patients, Betsy Tomlinson. Ms. Tomlinson learned to navigate the challenges of vision impairment with the support of low vision care. And in our clinical world, it is never one size fits all. The care is individualized according to the patient, their vision status, and their goals. We deal with everything from mild vision impairment to total vision loss. And then we have to account for every person's individualized experience. We're also very fortunate today to have our virtual keynote speaker, Judge David Tatel. For those who don't know, Judge Tatel served over 30 years as a federal judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals of the D.C. Circuit and has lost nearly all of his vision from retinitis pigmentosa. His recent book, Vision, A Memoir of Blindness and Justice, is now practically required reading material for many of my patients, and really a great read for Lions who want to learn more about navigating the challenges of vision loss. You know, we as rehab professionals, we have to meet people on their journey where they are. And we have to do our best to enhance their vision when it's possible, substitute when it's not, educate and counsel. Some days we're doctors, but other days we may be engineers or social workers. Whether it's our lead occupational therapist, Kristen Shiflett, or this year's recipient of the James Dermick Service Award, it is a skilled teacher who can provide the best rehab care. And I can assure you these people are quite rare. After just a few years of taking on the leadership role of the clinical program at the center, it became apparent that we had too many patients, not enough doctors, and not enough therapists. There were plenty of eye doctors being trained to perform laser, surgery, inject the eye, try to restore sight, or make it slow down in progress, but few who could address the functional needs when vision cannot be restored. With the aging population growing and too few training programs, there simply weren't enough doctors or therapists receiving the specialized training to provide the needed care. So once again, Lions, thank you. With the help of a superb team at Wilmer and the Lions' abundant and generous support, we together developed the Lions Vision Fellowship Training Program. Each year, this one-of-a-kind program provides intensive training to one clinician who has decided to dedicate their career, and dare I say their life, to serving those with low vision. The Lions Fellowship Program remains one of the only low vision fellowship training programs in the United States, and its impact has been tremendous. In front of you, you see a slide of 9 completed fellows in low vision and our current fellow. So next year, we will be training our 11th individual. With the Lions of MD22 providing the funding each year for the fellowship, our efforts have yielded extraordinary success. To date, I am proud to say we have trained 10 people. At the recent Academy meeting, there seemed to be a newfound interest by young graduates inspired to dedicate their career to low vision. Just yesterday, I had meetings with 3 candidates for next year's fellowship training program, and I'm very excited to see that the enthusiasm seems to be on an upswing. And it's because of the partnership with you, Lions of MD22, that any of this is possible. You know, it's very costly to train people. It takes time, it takes mentorship, and it takes individualized attention. And I thank you so much for your support and your determination to finish the mission together. We have really come so far. Now, before I turn it over to our current Jones Fellow, Dr. Hassan, I would like to give a very special thank you to Kyoko Fujiwara, who organized the program for today's event and all of the behind-the-scenes planning, including coordinating efforts with Daniela Fried and her great development team. Thank you, Lions, for your organization. You know, great people make great organizations, and your organization is great. Your dedication, your support, and your partnership in the effort to change people's lives for the better really matters. Thank you, Lions.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Colette Hussan. I'm this year's Jones Fellow, well, an extension. So thank you all for being here, because without you, I physically wouldn't be standing here. Your position is supporting us and helping us develop this great fellowship is absolutely amazing. So let me advance the slides here. So I've already done 1 year, a year and a half, and what a year it's been. In school, we learn low vision, but we really don't ever get that hands-on experience. This is the reason I wanted to do this fellowship. It is quite the unique experience getting to hands-on train with rehab and work with the amazing team under the mentorship of Dr. Goldstein, Dr. Weinberg, and Dr. Brown. And just absolutely, I'm speechless because I've learned so many things I would have never learned just in school. All of that is textbook, but Kristen and Heather, they've helped me develop my skills and everything over the last year. I've gotten to do amazing field trips to connect with our community members. I've gotten to build amazing connections where now when I see patients that need help with their support and rehab, I can easily email one of these members in our community to connect them and facilitate the care that they need. More importantly, they've also let me flourish in continuing to keep up with my optometric skills, so working in different clinics with our esteemed Wilmer faculty to continue to diagnose patients and know what is going on, not just functionally, but also ocular health-wise as well. So in this year, I've also presented 3 Wilmer Grand Rounds. This is to the Wilmer faculty and invited guests. It's really important for the fellow to do this because we're in charge of helping support the cause of training our up-and-coming residents in the importance of low vision. And then I was really surprised and honored to earn the Optelec Excellence in Low Vision Award this summer. I got a really cool set of magnifiers out of it, but it was also important to remember how much work we do in low vision and to be honored for it. Lastly, I've worked with many of the med students in their mentoring program to teach them optometric skills. And most recently, last weekend, I worked in one of their community clinics, helping them see patients for those in the Baltimore community that can't always get the care that they need. And then, of course, I get to speak to all of you guys, most recently in Greensboro at your fall banquet, which was a great time. My husband and I truly enjoyed hanging out with the Lions and learning what you guys do firsthand. But we speak to low vision support groups, and upcoming in the winter, we have a couple more groups to speak to as well. So the other big part of this fellowship that makes it so unique is the research aspect. Not only am I becoming a better clinician, I'm becoming a better scientist. So I do 2 research studies, one of them with hemianopes, so patients who've lost half their vision from a stroke, and the other one looking at central missing pieces in vision and trying to figure out the best ways we can help them clinically and understand their conditions. So I was able to present my findings this year at 3 conferences: the Wilmer Research Meeting, ARVO in Seattle, Washington, and the Wilmer Resident Association Clinical Meeting. So it was, again, another true honor to receive the Louise Sloan Award, to be able to travel to ARVO and present my work. This is the first time a low vision fellow has ever received this award. So thank you, Lions, for supporting the fellowship and this opportunity. I also won the inaugural Clinical Fellow Presentation Award at the Wilmer Residents Association Clinical Meeting. I went head-to-head with some of our ophthalmology fellows, and we split the prize, but it was a great time for recognition of low vision and what optometrists can do as well. Lastly, I'm helping with a new project looking to standardize elements of our exams for better analysis and comparison from provider per provider. It helps me be a little bit of a nerd because I get to work in our electronic health record to kind of build the structure and see what's the best way going forward to continue to provide the best care. And then I do truly get the most unique opportunity of building my statistical toolbox. Every week I get to meet with Dr. Daniele, your fellow Lion, and Dr. Chris Bradley, and we review papers for publication. I learn about different statistical tests, and I get to observe programming. And this is so important because it doesn't just help build my knowledge base, but it helps me really learn how to craft the best experiment. Every day in clinic, we see different problems that we want to tackle, that we want to ask the question, how can we do better? How can we help this patient see better, or what can we learn about it? So working with both Dr. Daniele and Dr. Bradley will help me best craft the experiment that will help us answer some of these questions that we see in clinic. And throughout all of this, somehow I managed to find a time to get married in June. So some of you have met my husband, Nick. These are just some of our wedding pictures. And again, I want to thank you all so much. I want to thank your support because there really aren't a lot of low vision people coming out of schools. So having your support and your dedication will really help inspire those who, like myself, want to continue in low vision and help our patients. So thank you for your constant support, and hope we can stay on as faculty to continue hanging out with you guys at these rallies. All right, and now I'm proud to present my colleague and friend, Ingsa Zhang, who will talk to you about her amazing research.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yingzi Xiong. This is my second year at our Lions Low Vision Research Center, and this is my second rally. And Judy already made me cry today in her presentation. So I really love our family so much already. And today, the most important update I want to share is that my lab is growing. We are now a big family of 9 people. We have fresh bodies of mentees from postdoc fellows to undergrad research assistants with diverse background from computer science to public health. So I am so proud to have this team. They work hard, they think smart, they help each other, and I realize they love and care about our research as much as I can, which make me smile every time, and I'm sleeping better now. Some of them are here today. And this year, we got new fundings. Earlier this year, we got a new funding from Research to Prevent Blindness. That is to sponsor us to translate our research into clinical care for low vision people. And just a few months ago, we got another new grant, R01 grant from National Eye Institute to help us start a new line of research looking into enhancing the accessibility of our environments for low vision individuals. Now, getting new funding is exciting, it's great news. That also means we have to do the work. And the work is going on pretty well too. I think my team had a better presentation than what I would do now, but still. So we are continuing to expanding and establishing ourselves in the research on dual sensory impairment. So there are 40% of patients visiting our low vision clinic also having hearing impairment. So we are developing new assessments to evaluate their vision and hearing functions. Now, this year, with the joining of our very dedicated Dr. Prachi Agrawal, our new postdoc fellow, we have developed this very exciting new set of studies. So we are asking our patients to do real-life tasks to assess their vision and hearing functions. You have seen some of the tasks this morning, but outside of the lab, we also take them to elevators, ask them, can you locate which elevator just opened with your vision or hearing? Can you locate your friend in the cafeteria? Our patients love those tasks. We are trying our best to do recruitment. As of today, we have recruited and screened 140 patients in our study. That is due to Prachi, Nitin, and Anas, their hard work, our outreach to community, our recruitment in our low vision clinic, our shamelessly contacting nonprofit organizations to get their support. And some of you know that we are also trying to get Lions support in expanding our circumference. So I'm really excited for seeing that progress next year. And we have been trying to establish new collaborations. And one of the hardcore things we were doing this year is trying to convince Helen Keller National Center to be our collaboration partner, because we do research on dual sensory impairment. There is no better institution to collaborate with than Helen Keller National Center. We visited them, we toured their facility, we were amazed by how they treat their patients with vision and hearing impairment. We also showcased what we do, and we got the green light from their leadership to do this collaboration. So very exciting for the new year. And earlier I mentioned a new grant, a new R01 grant, allowing us to do research on enhancing visual accessibility of our environments for low vision. Now, the end goal of that project is to provide a smartphone application that can demonstrate how can you enhance the visibility of any environments. Imagine that one day, Kristen, when she goes to a patient's home, she can use our app, she can take a photo of the home, and then the app will automatically tell her for this particular patient what may be hazardous for this patient. Now, I want to show a simple demonstration of a very preliminary version of the app developed by our very talented PhD student, Qingying Gao. Can we play? No. Can you help me play this? Okay, so this is the preliminary version of the app. You can take a photo using the app. You can choose different format you want to use to take the photo. You will have the option to inspect the environment based on the distance of the object to you. You can enter the vision status of the patient, and then the app will give you a visualization of what this scene may look like to this patient. Now, we have this app. How can we demonstrate the app is actually predicting what the patient see? So Tingying also developed this very fun walk, see, and trace task. Some of you have seen this morning. So we ask patient to trace some simple shapes and also some actual targets like a chair. And then she used some very smart algorithm to get the trajectory of the tracing. Now we can really know what the patients can see as they walk in the environment. We can compare their performance with the task, with the app prediction. So these are the very fun research studies going on in our lab, and there are much more than what I can demonstrate today. So I want to end my presentation by thanking all the Lions for your continuous support. As you can see, we are working hard to meet our promises to you, and we always welcome you back to our lab to see what we are doing. Thank you. And now I want to introduce my colleague and mentor, Dr. Daniel Lee, to introduce his research. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingse, and good morning, Lions. It's great to see many of you here this morning. You all got up early. I applaud you. My students also got up early to be here and show you around. Those of you who could visit the lab have seen some of their work. And as Ingse says, these are wonderful students. They're smart, they're helpful, they're interested, they want to learn, they help me develop new technologies and new experiments. So I'll talk about a few of those today. So we were the ultra low vision lab, but now we're actually more of a general low vision lab because we're not just studying ultra low vision anymore. Now, to give you an idea what ultra low vision is, that's vision so poor that people cannot see any letters on the letter chart. And you have to think of people who have advanced eye disease, people who are born with very limited vision, or people who have a visual prosthesis, an electronic implant that gives them a little bit of vision, but really not enough to do anything like normal visual tasks. So we're developing a new approach to assess functional vision, and we've done this for ultra low vision, but now we're expanding it to regular low vision for the kinds of patients that we see in the clinic. So here is a gallery of all the students who currently work in my lab, and at the very top left you see a new programmer, and she's actually has a PhD in architecture, but she's done a lot of development work in virtual reality. And so she just came on board a few weeks ago and is helping us develop new experiments in virtual reality, and I'll talk about those in a moment. And the other students that you see here, some of you met this morning, the others couldn't be here today, but it's wonderful to have them working on different projects. So what do we study? Well, first of all, electronic vision restoration. And you've all heard about the Argus 2 retinal implant that I've talked about many times. And now we have an implant in the visual cortex, in the back of the head. And I'll talk about it in a little more detail later. Then we have visual fields that we record in a head-mounted display. So instead of sitting in front of a machine with your chin on a chin rest and recording the visual field in one eye at a time, we can now actually record the visual field in both eyes and either separate or together. We do an eye movement experiment, or several of them, in people who have lost half of their vision due to stroke, what's called hemianopia. And those of you who came for the tour saw the first of those, and I'll talk about that a little more later. And then we are developing now a new questionnaire for people with low vision. There are several questionnaires that exist and several that were developed here, particularly by Dr. Massoff. But the problem is that now that they're 20, 30 years old, a lot of the modern technology doesn't feature into them. So if you want to know how much difficulty people have making things visible, it doesn't ask anything about iPhone apps or magnifiers that you can take with you, or devices that tell you where you are, or let alone AI. So we really want to develop a new questionnaire that can do that. And finally, we measure how well people can use their vision. Here's an example of someone throwing a ball in virtual reality and throwing it into a basket. All right, so let's go back to the electronic implants for a second. We started out in 2007 with the Argus 2 retinal implant, a small electronic implant, 60 electrodes sitting on the retina and stimulating the secondary cells in the retina, very similar to what a cochlear implant does for the deaf. And in the picture here, you see on the left, the pair of glasses with the camera and the transmitter coil, then a video processing unit, a little belt pack that takes the image from the camera and transforms it into signals that go to the electrodes. And then on the right, you see the eye with a little electronics capsule and an antenna on the outside. So the information goes from the coil on the outside to the coil on the eye, and that gives the commands to the electrodes that are sitting in the eye. The Argus 2, unfortunately, was not a commercial success because the level of vision that people are getting from it is very limited. And the company that made it was supported by some angel investors and donors. But when the pandemic came, they had to cease their support. And so the company stopped for now this program. So currently we're not implanting any new retinal implants. But we have another program, and it's actually held, it's in Chicago, called the intracortical visual prosthesis. And that takes little electronic discs with 16 electrodes sticking out of them. They're wireless, they're implanted in the back of the head, and each patient can have multiple implants. The first one we implanted 2.5 years ago had 25, and we just recently, last month, implanted our second one with 32 of these little packages, modules. And then they're connected to an external antenna coil that's placed on the back of the head. And so you can control each of these 400 or 512 electrodes individually by sending the right commands through the antenna coil. And Astrid, my student, is actually doing a lot of the testing in Chicago, and a former student of mine is running the experiments there. So we're heavily involved in that. Even though it's in Chicago, we're actually really closely involved with what they're doing. So now Astrid just came back from the first week of testing with our new implantee, the second one, and he saw a lot of dots of light, which is very encouraging. And we know that as he gets more used to it, he will progress. Here's the eye movement test that some of you saw this morning. And again, this is for people who have lost half of their visual field due to a stroke. And we're asking them to count the dots. But what's more important to us is how they move their eyes. And so here in the middle, you see for a patient and for a normal control, how they move their eyes. And it looks a little jagged. The blue traces are the patient, and you can see, or are the original eye movements, and then the red traces are a fit. And we're still learning how to fit our traces to what the patient is actually doing. But once we do that, then we get a map of where the patient was actually stopping during their traces. So you can see this, these two pictures on the right would give you a heat map, or where was the person looking at any given time when their eyes were not moving fast between the different locations. Okay. As I said, we're using a questionnaire, developing a new questionnaire to quantify how much people can see, asking them how difficult different activities in their daily lives are. And then we're also creating these same activities in the real world and in virtual reality. And we're comparing how they rate the activities as from their experience and how they actually perform them, because that's of course a different thing. And so I'm going to give you 3 examples here. Let's see, can I make this go away? So, yeah. Okay, so here someone is just looking for objects at the table and recognizing them. Here you have hand-eye coordination, so you were throwing an object or you're placing an object, you're building a stack of blocks. And here we have a metro station. You actually have to come down the steps and get on the train and find an empty seat. So we can do all these things in virtual reality. Some of them we can do in the real world. The metro station would be a little harder because there would be risk involved, so we are not going to do that. But this is our program for the next 4 years. We have a grant from the National Eye Institute to develop all these tasks and quantify how difficult they are. And that way we can then take the same set of tests to new patients during a clinical trial, and from the way they perform them, we can actually rate how good is their functional vision, how well do they perform with their vision. Finally, the virtual reality environment that we are now building. Here's an apartment that Elnas, our programmer, just created for us. And let me see if I can get that to work. Yeah, okay. So we have a kitchenette, and then you look around the living room, and we have a sofa, and we have a balcony, and you can see the view outside. It's still under construction, as you can see. We just started it, but that's where we're going with our research. So finally, thank you, LVRF, thank you, Lions, for all the support that you've given us over many, many years. So now I want to introduce Kristen, whom all of you have met before, our wonderful OT vision rehabilitation specialist.
Good morning, Lions. So I've been here at Wilmer for, I've been here at Hopkins for about 18 years, been here at Wilmer for 11, and the technology has literally change everything. It's a game changer, literally, if you've heard by the research so far by my colleagues. But originally, when we think of, to the average person, what technology is, they think of the telephone, the television, the computer, and these are the original basic models that when they first came out. It's amazing what they look like now, right? So now, for people with vision impairment, it's a little bit differently how it started. And really what it started was with Braille. In 1920s, Braille was created by Louis Braille. It was a tactile writing system for people who are blind to help them read and write. It consisted of 63 characters using 6 raised dots arranged in a 6-cell position. As you can see to the right, we have the alphabet from A to Z here. After this, the concept of tactile markings kind of evolved, and it evolved, allowed to do other things such as raised line drawings or tactile maps. But really, as people got older, this is Dr. James Jasinski. He also was born visually impaired. And he went to a blind school, and they were asking him, well, why can't you be the good little blind boy and do Braille? Well, this kid had some remaining vision. He wanted to read a large print book, holding it to his nose, and he wanted to use binoculars and scopes. And that was just not what they should do in Braille school. And so basically this gentleman is a mathematician, and he created the closed circuit TV, as they called it, the marvelous seeing machine in the 1960s. And this really changed the world for people with vision impairment because they were allowed to use their vision and using by magnification and to make things larger for them to see. So now they're able to read and to do some writing activities. But as you can see by the picture here on the bottom right, it is a very large machine. We can't take it anywhere, but it is giving them a step in the right direction. In the 1980s, things again changed for technology. Screen readers and Braille note takers were created. Kurzweil, which is the person in the bottom left, as the computers were developing, he created the first computer to transform random text into spoken word. And that was huge for people for vision impairment and blindness. So the ability to allow them to participate in different activities. And then to the right, there is the Braille note taker, which allowed blind users to take notes and electronically using Braille. And then we all know of the great World Wide Web. And yes, for some of you, you recognize this noun. And I'm going to stop it. Thank you, somehow. Ooh, can we stop that for me? Thank you. Sorry, just had to do a little nostalgia there. And yes, I do know what that is. But this was created by Sir Tim Berners-Lee in 1989. It was the first web server and browser. So now we're able to access and share information across the World Wide Web and across the country and across the world. So technology was starting to merge together for people with vision impairment and blindness with the rest of the sighted community. So then that continued to transition as it, sorry, I'm trying to fix that. Whoops. It continued to transition with computers. Now we have accessibility features with magnification, contrast, changing the pointer of the cursor, which is very hard to find sometimes. And so now we've even changed, adapting those Kurzweil programs to more screen readers. So now they're not specialized programs, they're built into the technology. They're built into the computer. So now you don't have to get a special program to work with. You can have it built into the system now, which is amazing. Again, going back to telephones, this is probably one of the biggest things that has changed because now we have technology, the concept of portable technology. And these smartphones, I'm sorry, can I switch this? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get that extra view out. Smartphones that have now changed. Again, the Alexander Graham Bell telephone, the first one on the left. And then, yes, the rotary phone, and then the touchstone phone, and then the first cell phone, and the first iPhone, the first Android. Look how much change has happened in so many years. And now we're able to add apps or add to that are acting like CCTVs. So you can take a picture of something, you can magnify it, and now they can even read back to you. Having this portable technology is making the world better for the people with vision impairment and blindness because now they're able to participate more in every activities and less relying on a person to help them. The future of technology, I don't know what it's going to be. It's very exciting to hear what's coming out. We have AI, we have driverless cars, which is good and bad, maybe, we'll see. We also have wearable technology that you can put on your face to help magnify things. So you can see the person across from you at the dinner table, see the person lecturing to you. But then also you have, as Heather demonstrated in our clinic, the meta glasses, which can read a sign for you and help with navigation. Again, this purpose of independence and inclusion is amazing. We don't know where it's going to go. And also we heard from Dr. Shang that there's an app that we're going to create to help people understand how to make the world more accessible for people with vision impairment. And that's just amazing to see what's going to happen. But technology is really combining the worlds of vision impairment and sighted together. So it's not going to be so abnormal to have your phone with a larger font or reading to you. It's just going to be the everyday normal thing, which as an occupational therapist, that means that my patients are out in the community, they're active and they're participating, which is the goal of any therapist and anyone here in this room. So basically, what we try to tell everyone in the clinic is we're trying to educate them about these changes and encourage them to use them in their everyday lives, but then also to think of, hey, how can I make this different for me? I'm sure there's a feature in here that can make this larger and try to empower them as they participate in life. So as we keep with this technology, again, we're trying to not only educate patients, but educate further practitioners. I'm very excited that in the past 2 years, we've had 3 occupational therapy students complete their rotation at the Wilmer Eye Institute, which is huge. There's not a lot of occupational therapists in the community that practice low vision full time. And so I'm hoping every day that with this internship, we're trying to change that and to make people more aware of what low vision and occupational therapy can do. And today we have one here with us. You met her in the tour if you were available. This is Jasenia Terrell. She's from Duke. She's done an amazing job. She's done 10 weeks already. She's 2 more to go. She's almost graduate. It's very exciting. And so that is the future of occupational therapy. And then now, the main reason why we're all here is to help our patients and to hear from that patient perspective. So Jasenia is bringing up Miss Betsy Tomlin to the stage. Betsy is our patient testimonial today. She's going to provide her unique perspective on vision impairment and how it's impacted her lives. Live, but Betsy is a retired French teacher. And so she's a very much an avid reader, loves to read, obviously, English and French. And her spouse, Ted, is with her today. And she has been a part of the Wilmer Clinic since May of this year. And I've met her several times, and I'm very excited for you to meet her because she has such enthusiasm for technology in the future. So here's Betsy. Yes, if Mike is from here, you got it.
Thank you very much. And I guess I should say hello, Lions. It's the first time I've met Lions, so I'm very glad to see you all and delighted to be here. It's the perfect time of year because Thanksgiving is next week. And when I make my list of what I'm thankful for, Wilmer and the Lions, Kristen and Dr. Goldstein will be right up there on top. So I am very grateful to you. Now, my adventure began on May the 2nd. That's, in a way, not that long ago. I should give you a quick backstory. 4 years before that, I had, out of the clear blue sky, submacular hemorrhage in my right eye. And that was treated, diagnosed, couldn't do much about it, but it really didn't bother me because very nicely you're given 2 eyes and the other eye was fine. I had 20/20 vision in my other eye, so I really didn't notice a problem. However, on May the 2nd, I was happily doing an Excel spreadsheet on my computer, so I could see. I closed it down, I picked up my book to read, and I couldn't see anything. And I thought, uh-oh. Now, I knew what had happened because I could see the edges of the print in the book, but the center was gone. And that's what had happened before. It was, if you'll pardon the pun, déjà vu all over again. So I called Wilmer the next morning, and I was down here. And my suspicions were confirmed. I had advanced macular degeneration in both eyes. And then I thought, what do I do now? This was really a life-changing experience because I realized I couldn't drive, I couldn't read a printed text, I couldn't recognize people far away. I had really good side vision, which was nice. I could walk outside and enjoy the trees. It was funny, I could see the forest, but not the trees. So I thought, what do I do now? And I knew I called Wilmer Low Vision Center, which I did. And by persistent begging, I got an appointment in 2 weeks with Dr. Goldstein. And my life began to change. She understood, she did a lot of testing, knew what my problem was. I came in, by the way, with a suitcase full of electronic devices because I am a sort of technology freak. So I brought my laptop, my cell phone, my iPad. I had enlarged the print, but my method of doing it was complicated. And Dr. Goldstein set the print, the brightness, showed me all sorts of things. I never knew that Apple had an accessibility feature because I never needed to. And of course, one trouble is until someone helps you set that, you can't see the accessibility commands because they're teeny. As soon as you set them larger, you're fine, but there's that initial step. And Dr. Goldstein helped me with that. And she showed me what I call one of my Wilmer toys. It's a magic cube. It's fabulous. It's about this big, and it's a magnifying glass, but it's also beautiful. It looks like crystal. You put it on a newspaper, and you can run it down the newspaper column, and you can read your favorite columnist. You can also hold it over the computer because while Apple has an accessibility feature, not all apps buy into that. And if you're shopping online, I can't see prices, which worries my husband. I can't see quantities either, and that's a problem. So I would hold the magic cube up, and there's the price. And the other nice thing is I can see my credit card number to put in, and I can even see those 3 little security codes, which I couldn't see before. So that's a help. Then Dr. Goldstein said I should see Kristen Shiflett, and I have now seen her 3 times, and she has changed my life. I have a wonderful time when I see her. We play with various technology things, and I go home seeing more than I did before. I didn't know Apple has something called Hover that lets you, if you have a little word or number you can't see, you can get over that and just have it enlarged. I can even close programs. You know, when you start off, there's the red dot, the yellow dot. Well, if you have a vision problem, you can't find them with the cursor, but when you enlarge them, you can. So that has made a very big difference. And my second Wilmer toy is my magic screen. It's about this big. It has powerful magnification, and it changes colors. It does all sorts of things. But you can put it over, for instance, a magazine article, because those have wider columns than a newspaper, and that cube going back and forth like that got very tiresome. So with the magic screen, I can read a magazine article. I can read a postcard from a friend. I don't have to ask my husband to read. I don't get much mail anymore because no one sends mail. But a few friends of mine, some who are really Luddites, send letters off and on, and I can read those. So that screen has made a huge difference. And Kristen has also helped me with dictating, because I dictate my emails and dictate, if I have to write a report for something, I dictate that. And I can even dictate in French, which is fun. And I must say, AI seems to be better in French than English. Or maybe I speak more clearly in French. But when I dictate to AI, sometimes what it says is quite surprising. And I'm sure you've had that experience with transcribed phone messages. But Kristen has shown me how to get back and correct that, because you do have to watch what you send out. All in all, Wilmer has really changed my life to the point where the hole in my vision caused by macular degeneration has been filled in by technology. And I suspect that as time goes on, it will be more and more filled in. So I'm left with the only thing I can't do, really, is drive. And in a way, I miss that. But in another way, I tell myself, you know, you never have to look for a parking place again. So thank you, Wilmer, and thank you, Lions.
And Betsy will have her comedy hour for everyone. Wonderful as always, Betsy. All right, so the other part of my job here at the Lions Convention is to give out the Jim Steremick Supplementary Service Award. And now each year, I mean, at the Wilmer Clinic, we can't do this alone. We have you, the Lions, to help us. We have our wonderful researchers and staff, but we also have the community. And this year, and also here's Jim with his 12th grandchild, just letting you know. So congratulations to the Steremick family. But this person we want to acknowledge because they collaborate with us at Wilmer. They have this strong devotion for making the impact of people in the world with low vision, and they go just above and beyond the call of duty. And this year, we have Marilyn Ward Toulouse. She is a certified rehab teacher. She's been with the state agency DOORS, Division of Rehab Services, for 30 years. Her quality of care goes above and beyond, and she tries to connect with each patient to get them the best service they need and the equipment they need to be successful. She's also worked with local optometrists. She's out in Frederick, So when there's not, in the past, when there was no one doing the service, she went to local optometrists and say, hey, you really should add this component to your practice. And she would help them get devices and help them be successful. Also, she runs a support group in Frederick for people with low vision. She's just a wonderful person to work with. We get along very well, and she's also very smart and very knowledgeable. So what a nice way to honor her as someone that probably doesn't get a lot of recognition for her amazing work. So we would like to bring Marilyn to the stage to accept this award. So I will let Marilyn say a few words, and then I will grab her award. Also, she gets a personal award for her office, which I'll show in a minute. But in the clinic, we do have the plaque, which is right across from Jim's old rehab room, I'm sorry, and it is listed for you guys to see.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for those beautiful words. I am going to cry because Jim Dermick is my mentor, and I hope he's watching. He's watching. Okay, Jim, I see you. I had to write things down because I just want to thank Kristen and everyone at Johns Hopkins Wilmer Low Vision for this amazing recognition. To receive an award named for my mentor and his accomplishments is truly lovely. I worked with Jim for over 30 years now, 33 years now with the state. Since he has retired, I miss those calls with a new referral. Jim would connect with me when the consumer was literally sitting in the clinic with him, and he would say, I got this patient. and that's how every conversation would start. And then at the end, the conversation would end by talking about our amazing moms and our families. Jim and I have amazing mothers and I don't know about his mom right now because I haven't talked to him for a while, but my mom is 93 and she's watching too. So, and she also has macular degeneration. And like Betsy, following you is really hard, to talk because you're amazing and what you're doing. When you receive a referral from Johns Hopkins Wilmer Low Vision, you always know that that person is getting the most amazing care, low vision evaluations, and rehabilitation. Thank you to James Dermick for being an amazing mentor over the past 30 years. Your knowledge and support were amazing. Thank you to Dr. Goldstein, Dr. Weinberg, Dr. Brown, Kristen Shiflett, Heather, Kyoko, Kim, Dr. Hassan, and thank you for your wonderful support and service delivery to all of our consumers in the state of Maryland. To all of the Lions here today, your continued dedication to assist all with vision loss is so appreciated. I want to thank my Pittsburgh family. I know I'm in Ravens territory right now, so I have to be careful. But I have an amazing family in Pittsburgh I just love to thank. And my husband, Stephen, is here today. It's his birthday. Happy birthday. And I'd love to thank our children, my son, Ethan, and my daughter, Zosha, who's here, for your love and support always. They say you should love what you do in life. I truly found a career that I love. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Marilyn, on receiving the James Dermick Service Award. It's really so well-deserved. You changed so many lives for the better, and when I got to work out in Frederick, I always knew I had somebody to call, somebody who would always make a difference. And it's not only just her skills, but it's her kindness and her willingness to sort of sometimes, what I always say is bend the rules and make sure that the patients are served. So I now have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Judge David Tatel. Judge David Tatel served on the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit from 1994 to 2023. Prior to that, his 3-decade career as a civil rights lawyer included private and government positions and focused heavily on equal educational opportunity and access to justice. He served as the director of the Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under the law, and then director of the National Committee. He was the director of the Office for Civil Rights of the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare during the Carter administration. When he returned to private practice in 1979, Judge Tatel joined Hogan and Hartson, where he founded and headed the firm's education practice until his appointment to the D.C. Circuit. Judge Tatel also co-chaired the National Academy of Sciences Committee on Science, Technology, and Law. Judge Tatel and his wife, Edie, have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. They live in Virginia and Washington, D.C. Now, on a personal note, I was completely taken in by his story relayed in his book, Vision, a Memoir of Blindness and Justice. It's clear from his book that Judge Tatel, like so many individuals affected by vision loss, rely on a community, family, and friends. And although Judge Tatel's wife, Edie, may not be our keynote speaker today, I also wanted to thank her for encouraging and supporting him in sharing his inspirational story. Welcome, Judge Tatel, and thank you for joining our rally celebration.
Thank you, Dr. Goldstein, and it's a complete pleasure for me to be with you this morning. I actually feel quite close to the Wilmer Eye Clinic. My connection goes all the way back to the 60s when my mother took me there after I had been diagnosed, and I went several more times after that, and then Edie's right here next to me. Edie and I also took our 4 children there. So we've been part of the Wilmer Eye Clinic for a very long time. I thought what I would do this morning is I want to, for those of you who haven't yet read the book, I have a little 2-minute summary I want to read. And then I'll tell you about my own personal experience with retinitis pigmentosa and how I've handled it. I then have a couple of thoughts about the previous speaker talked about technology. I have a couple of thoughts about technology, and then I'll conclude with a thought about the experience of writing this memoir and particularly its aftermath. So here's a little 2-minute pitch about the book. My book is a memoir, so I'll begin by introducing myself. I'm 82 years old, and I've been blind for more than half my life because of the eye disease retinitis pigmentosa. I've lived a rich and varied life. As a husband, father of 4, grandfather of 8, as a civil rights lawyer, and a partner in a major law firm, and for the past 30 years, as a judge on the nation's 2nd highest court, filling the vacancy created by the elevation of Ruth Bader Ginsburg to the Supreme Court, and deciding some of the most important issues facing our nation. My book is about my life in the law and my journey into blindness. The decision to write it and to name it Vision of all things wasn't easy. I certainly didn't want to write a book about being blind. And would anyone read a book by a judge who never made it to the Supreme Court? But friends urged me on. You're not just a blind person, and you're not just a federal judge. You're a federal judge who happens to be blind. They believed that readers would be fascinated by my story and find it inspirational. And everyone would want to know everything there is to know about my amazing guide dog, Vixen. They also believed that my story might inspire others, and not just people living with blindness. That made me stop and think. If my story, life story, might help others, why not share it with the world? Writing this memoir has demanded far more than just putting my story on paper. Grappling with the meaning of that story has been something else entirely. It's helped me think deeply about the Supreme Court and the threat it poses to the environment and our democracy. And for the first time, to write about being blind. My decades of denial, waiting years to get a cane and decades to get a guide dog, how I adapted to life without sight, and the ways my blindness has affected my wife Edie and our lives together. This book tells my story. I hope you'll read it. So that's the book, Vision, a memoir of blindness and justice. Let me take a few minutes and give you the details about my own experience with RP. When I was a kid, I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland. In the 40s and 50s, I went to high school in Maryland in the late 1950s. And as a little kid, I had trouble seeing in the dark. And my parents took me to eye doctors, and no one knew what it was. Several of them said that I should eat carrots, and my parents gave me lots of carrots. And I also began to notice, particularly, I was an avid baseball player. I began to notice that sometimes a ball would come out of nowhere. And even I noticed that there were peripheral vision problems. Finally, in 1957, my mother took me to NIH, the National Institutes of Health, where I was diagnosed for the first time with RP. I was 15 years old. Let me read you just the passage from the book where I describe what that was like. I suspect this will be familiar to many of you. So it starts out here. Have them eat lots of carrots, they advised. I did, but it didn't help. One particularly clueless eye doctor urged my mother to teach me basket weaving so I'd be able to earn a living if I ever became completely blind. Wisely, she decided instead to bring me to the National Institutes of Health for more testing. There, in early 1958, when I was a junior in high school and about to turn 16, I was finally diagnosed with RP. Most ophthalmologists had never heard of RP. That's why I went undiagnosed for so long. The NIH doctor who finally diagnosed me was Elliot Burson. I've never forgotten his name. What he told me that day rewrote my life. Before he diagnosed me, I endured a full day of eye tests, some really uncomfortable. The worst was an electroretinogram that required me to wear a huge, miserable contact lens, huge, miserable contact lens with wires leading to a machine. Every blink hurt. The tests and all the waiting in between took hours. Late in the afternoon, Dr. Burson called my mom in and spoke to her privately while I sat in the waiting room. Their conversation seemed to take forever. Dr. Burson then invited me to join my mom. After explaining how the retina works, he told me that I had a disease called retinitis pigmentosa, that it was very rare and that they didn't know a whole lot about it. What they did know, he told me, is that people with RP usually lose their vision slowly, that my vision would plateau from time to time, and that some people lose their vision entirely. I don't remember whether he ever used the word blind. I came away with the impression that total blindness was only a remote possibility. I don't know whether that was Dr. Burson's doing or mine. Did I actually hear everything he said? Or did I just hear what I wanted to hear? What 15-year-old wants to hear that he's going to go blind? So that was my day at NIH. So from there, when I finished, we went home, and I went right out to play ball with my friends. I never told anybody about this diagnosis. I didn't tell my friends about it. What 15-year-old wants to be different from his friends. And to be honest, as I look back on it, I felt a little bit embarrassed about a disability. And so from when I was diagnosed until my early 30s, I did a pretty good job of hiding my declining sight. And I developed lots of tricks to manage with my, particularly with, to manage particularly in the dark. And I tell a lot of those stories in the book. Some of them are funny, some of them aren't so funny. I suspect that many of you in the audience may have had the same tricks. And as I said, you know, I didn't talk about it to anybody. And as I grew older and went to law school and started practicing law, I still didn't talk about it because I was worried that having a visual disability would hurt my employment opportunities. But in my mid-30s, when I was the director of the National Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, my eyesight, as Dr. Burson predicted, took a dramatic drop in 6 months. And I, at that point, I couldn't read, and I needed to ask my secretary to read to me. And my wife, Edie, started reading to me. And I even got a Braille tutor to try to learn Braille. It wasn't especially successful. I can type it, but I really can't read it. And at that point, then a few years later, I bit the bullet and took a really difficult step and got a mobility cane because I really, it wasn't safe for me. I was traveling in my law practice. It just really wasn't safe. And although getting a mobility cane was an extremely difficult step to take because it was a public acknowledgement of my blindness, I went ahead and did it. And the experience was actually quite wonderful because once I had the cane, I didn't have to hide anything anymore. And much of the confusion that I experienced with people not knowing what was wrong with me just disappeared. You know, people didn't wonder why I tripped over things. People didn't wonder why I didn't recognize people. People didn't wonder any longer why I might have bumped into somebody. I had a cane, and that was a public acknowledgement of the fact that I was blind. But even then, and at this point I was 35 years old, even then I never talked about it. When I was appointed by President Clinton to go on the Court of Appeals in 1994, his press release announcing my appointment did not mention that I was blind. Now, the press treated it as the appointment of the nation's first blind appeals court judge. But I didn't want to be known as a blind judge. I wanted to be known as a judge who happened to be blind, which was a really big difference to me in my mind. And so in my 30 years on the court, you know, my colleagues and all the judges, all the lawyers who appeared before me, everybody knew I had a cane, but it was not a subject that I talked about. And, you know, sure, Edie and I talked about it because we were both living with blindness, and my kids knew all about it because, you know, once I couldn't read anymore, I switched to, first, they called them talking books, those big records. And then with these audiobooks to read nighttime, bedtime stories to my 4 children as they grew older. And so the family was deeply involved, obviously, in my blindness, and our friends knew about it, but it just wasn't something I ever talked about. So many people say to me, so they say to me, a typical question I get when I talk about the book is, okay, so what made the difference? Why are you now talking publicly about something you spent 60 years first denying and then not talking about. It's a complicated, it has a complicated answer, but there are really two major reasons why. One is this book. When I started to write the book a little over 3 years ago, I hadn't intended to be as candid as I turned out to be, but it turns out you can't write a memoir, at least a good memoir, without thinking deeply about not just the facts of your life, but what they all mean. And I wrote this book with my wife, Edie, who's a fine writer, and that was especially helpful because this is really, although it's my memoir, it's a memoir about us, about our marriage, and about how blindness affected our marriage and our family. And so together we were able to explore, talk about issues and circumstances in our lives that, although we had briefly talked about, we were busy, both had jobs, we were raising children. There wasn't a lot of time to contemplate the meaning of life during those years, but writing this book did give us that opportunity. And the more I talked about it with Edie and my editor at Little Brown and other close friends, the more I began to understand more deeply what and why I had done it. And most important, I became more comfortable with talking. No. But now, because of the book, I'm completely comfortable. Now, there's a second factor that makes me comfortable, and that's my guide dog, Vixen. I didn't get a dog until I was 77 years old. And I tell the story in the last chapter of the book. It's called The Dog That Changed My Life. And that is not an overstatement. To make a long story short, one day, maybe 6 years ago, our then 11-year-old, one of our grandsons, who was then 11, showed up with a podcast about guide dogs that he wanted me to listen to. And that sort of, a light went off in my brain. And I asked Edie to listen to it. And we decided, hey, why not? And so through friends, we ended up applying to the Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation in Hartford. And the reason we applied there is you're the only guide dog program that trains you to work with your dog where you live. All of the other programs have these really nice facilities, and you go there and live for a month where you learn to use the dog. But I didn't have a job where I could do that. And so we signed up with Fidelco, and long story short, I qualified. And a little over 5 years ago, a trainer showed up at our apartment in Washington with an absolutely beautiful 2-year-old German Shepherd named Vixen. And I spent the next 2 weeks in one of the most difficult things I've ever undertaken, learning or beginning to learn to work with Vixen. And after 6 months and then a year, I finally become comfortable. When you have a cane and you're walking around town, people don't stop you and say, hey, that's a really cool cane. But when you have a guide dog, everybody wants to talk about the dog. If I'm standing on the metro or on a street corner, people say, they tap you on the shoulder, they say, can that dog really guide you across the street? Where did you get that dog? Who trained her? What's her name? How does she work? Is it safe? You can't be reluctant you can't have a guide dog and be reluctant to talk about blindness. So Vixen has made me extremely comfortable about it. And as a result of both the book and the dog, I'm perfectly comfortable giving talks like this. In fact, I actually really enjoy them. So let me go on and tell you about tell you a couple of other things here. Yeah, I have two final points. One is technology. Your previous speaker talked about technology. Technology has had an amazing impact on me. And let me just give you an example. When I went on the court in 1994, I had, in addition to my 4 law clerks, federal judges get 4 law clerks who are recent graduates of law schools and beginning their legal careers. And I also had a full-time reader paid for by the government. and my readers were all my reader read everything that came across my desk, everything. Briefs, court decisions, materials from the record. If Edie hadn't read me the paper in the morning, the newspapers. She worked all day sitting in my office reading to me. And my law clerks did a lot of reading also. My last year on the court, which was a year ago, I still have a reader. I had a reader. She read almost nothing to me. I was able to read everything myself. And the reason is that during that 30 years, the world and my court went digital, and text-to-speech technology made it possible for me to read virtually everything that I needed to read. And I can read it instantly. Just yesterday, for example, I needed to read a court decision. I sent an email to a legal assistant who helps me out at the law firm. He sent it to me, and within 3 minutes, I was reading it on my iPhone. That is revolutionary for the blind. I use every blind person uses different kinds of technology. Since I don't read Braille, I use 3 basic types of technology. I use a Braille Sense computer. It's made by a company called HIMS. I can type Braille, fortunately. And the 6 Braille keys plus a space bar. And the output, you probably saw me putting on my headset to read to you. I hear what's in it. And I do all my, this is where I wrote the book with this device. I used it in my court at oral arguments, writing opinions. It's a pretty good machine. It's not perfect, but it's okay. So one of them is the HIMS Braille Sense. There are other Braille computers. I just happen to have this one. The second thing is I use a Victor reader. I don't know if you can see it here. It's a little, looks like a cigarette pack. It's made by a company called Humanware in Canada. They download wirelessly every morning. The National Federation of the Blind, which is right there in Baltimore, where you are, has this phenomenal newspaper reading program called Newsline. And if you or your friends or family don't know about it and you need to read newspapers, you've got to get registered on Newsline because it's hundreds of newspapers and magazines. I read the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. I read all my magazines, the New Yorker, the Atlantic, everything. And they download wirelessly to this device. And others too. There are other companies who make devices just like that. The third thing I use, and the one I use the most is, guess what? The iPhone. The iPhone is a magnificent device. I use an iPhone, there's also Android, so I'm not making a pitch for the Apple one. That just happens to be the one I use. And I can do virtually everything with the iPhone now. Although I use the Victor Reader for papers, I more and more now use the iPhone to read the morning papers. I do all my own emails with the iPhone. In my signature, it says, dictated by me to Siri, so any mistakes are hers. Because, dictation's not perfect. I read all my own emails. I can do all kinds of things, and there's a whole series of extremely useful apps with the iPhone, and with its voiceover technology, blind people can use it. The great thing about the iPhone, what I love most about the iPhone, is that unlike the Braille Sense computer and the Victor Reader, it's not made for blind people. It's a device that's made for the whole world, and Apple has made it accessible to the blind. And I don't have to buy anything extra. It's everything I need to use this phone is embedded in it. So I go into settings and activate the accessibility devices I need, this accessibility functionality I need. This is the future of accessibility for blind people, is not devoted, specialized equipment, which is A, very, very expensive, and B, because the market is so small, it's financially challenging for the companies to keep them up to date. And so the future is technology made for the public that is made accessible for the blind. And I just ordered a pair of the Meta glasses, because that's another, I haven't tried them yet, but this is all anybody in the blind community is talking about now, are the Meta glasses. And the reason is, although they're still quite limited, they have the same fundamental characteristic of the iPhone, which means it's made for the public, but it's useful to the blind people. And that means that the iPhone and the glasses are a lot cheaper than the glasses cost $299. That's $299, but it's a lot less. This Victor Reader is $600. The Braille Sense computer is thousands of dollars. So because it's made for the public, it's cheaper. It's also updated regularly. And as I said, it's made accessible. So that's the future of accessibility, I think, for blind people. Let me just finish with one final point. Let me just say one more thing about technology. Technology is great, but it isn't perfect, and it does fail from time to time. And when it fails, it's miserable. I can't tell you how many times my computer stops working, and I have to call the tech assistant to get it to work again. But again, back to the iPhone and the Meta glasses, they don't fail. You don't experience that problem. Sure, they can sometimes be frustrating in terms of how to find an app and open it, but generally you don't have the problem with dedicated equipment. All right, last point is this. I already mentioned to you what a profound experience it was to write this memoir for both Edie and me. It was quite extraordinary. The other thing that has been even more profound for us has been the reaction to the book. So the book came out about 6 months ago. I get emails every week, 3, 4, 5, sometimes more, or phone calls, or I meet people who talk to me. And they all say, I read Vision and it tells my story. I got one yesterday. Now, these are from people who like me, had RP or had other forms of visual disabilities or other disabilities. I've had these emails from people who have lost their hearing. I've had them from people who have many kinds of physical or mental disabilities that at the beginning aren't visible. And it turns out that the story I tell in Vision about how I hid it, refused to talk about it. When I was going through that, I thought it was just me. I thought I was the only one. Well, it turns out 6 years later, I discover after writing this book that that's what most people were doing. And so it's been a real revelation to Edie and me to know that. And it's also kind of confirmed my reason for writing the book. Yes, I wanted the book to be inspirational, but both to blind people and people who aren't blind, by the way. I mean, I hope partners in law firms who hire people will read this book, and when they have 3 applicants and one's blind, just hire on the merits. So I hope the book, so in addition to being informative and most important, inspirational, I hope it will signal to young people, kids, teenagers, young people going through what I went through. I hope it will signal to them that it's okay to be public about it, that you don't have to hide it, that talking about it is actually good for you and everybody else. And if this book does that, if I get a letter from someone who says, "Hey, I read your book and I'm now talking about my blindness," it will really confirm my decision to have written the book. So it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I hope, I know they've got some books there, and I hope very much you all enjoy it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Tattle, for your story. Thank you to all of our speakers. It's been very informative, and I hope that helps you make that connection that I started talking about. I would like to, first of all, introduce a few more people. So from Maryland, would all the Lions from Frederick County please stand up or wave so she can see who you are? I know we have a few down here, but these Lions would like to get to know you and help you. Okay. The next group I'd like to introduce and have them wave and be recognized are all the trustees for the Lions Vision Research Foundation. Please raise your hands. Let everybody know who you are. We thank you. I'd like to introduce a couple of specific members of our foundation. So our secretary, Lion Past District Governor Barb Bremergen. Thank you. And the one that we're about to put to work, Lion Pat Edwards, our treasurer. Pat, would you like to come down over here because we're about to do the donation part? So again, I thank you for that. The next step that we have is our donation. So any Lions or Lions clubs that would like to make a donation, please come around over here and line up to my right, your left. Right after we started, Dr. Dagnelli handed me a stack of envelopes, and he said, "Here's some checks that came in." And I was very excited when I saw the one from Comcast. And that was just a flyer. So not all of these, but I would like to, where is our next special guest? Where is Leonardo? Okay. So I'll just read off the names of the people or clubs that sent in donations through the mail. So we have Ms. Hildegard Haney from Baltimore. We have the Hagerstown Lions Club, Spring Creek Lions Club, Harrington Lions Club, one of my personal favorites, the Lord Baltimore Lions Club.
Sir, Leonardo's in the house.
Oh, here he comes. Okay. The Union Bridge Lions Club, Long Green Valley Lions Club, So I will give all of these to our treasurer. And then, did you want to take over from here? All right, then I'll turn it over to our development chair.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like Leonardo to please come up here on the stage with me here. Come on, Leonardo, over here. Welcome. Come on over here. Come on over here on this side. Okay. Like you over here on this side, right in the middle. I want to put your stage center. Okay. And there's Betsy down here, okay? So Betsy, we want to show you, here's another lion here, okay? You said it was one of your first times you're seeing a bunch of lions here today. Well, that's what it is. Good morning, fellow Lions. Our Wilmer Eye Institute partners and guests, it's really great that we can celebrate this world-class partnership in person again this year, especially at this time of the year where we celebrate the harvest. Give thanks for our blessings, and our family and friends get together to celebrate. Our event title is very appropriate, Vision Fest. We want this day to be a festival of pride focused on our humanitarian service. Today is not just about the money, it's about two world-class organizations, the Wilmer Eye Institute and Lions International, bonding together to help us take another step forward on that journey initiated by Helen Keller to rid the world of people who unnecessarily have lost their sight. I hope my fellow Lions are bursting with pride, I know Leonardo is over here, as we reflect on how we have helped. First, we established the Lions Vision Center. Then, at the urging of Dr. Patz's family, we helped to create the Lions Endowed Patz Professorship at the Lions Vision Center in memory of Dr. Arnold Patz. Next, we agreed to fund a fellow at the Lions Vision Center to be trained annually in low vision technology and rehabilitative practices. After several years of providing an annual gift of $100,000 to the Lions Vision Center for the fellow program, we decided to partner with Wilmer Development and create the Lions Fellow Endowment Account to support that program in perpetuity. I am pleased and honored to report this morning that we need $184,000 to complete the Lions' $1 million share of that fund. I believe the day is coming soon when the Lions of Mobile 22 can proudly boast, we did it again. We completed another step on Helen Keller's journey into the future. We're now going to invite you up here to present your donations, either from your club or individual that you brought with you. And you can go up here to the microphone and say who you are, where your club donations from. You say whatever you want. And then I'm going to ask you to give that donation to Leonardo over here. And then Leonardo, in turn, is going to give it to our Chairman Evan. And Evan's going to finally get it over there to the treasurer. And I'm going to get out of the way. Okay? So that's how we're going to do this. All right, I'm going to start off by saying what I brought, okay? I brought $2,600 here this morning, and $2,250 of that came from the people of our community through Vision Days, where we went out and stood in front of the local Walmart store, and people reacted to what we were doing, and they appreciate the great work that this Johns Hopkins Wilmer Eye Institute does and what the Lions does. So most of this donation is from the people of our community. There you go, Leonardo. That starts it off. All right. Jump right up. Tell Leonardo who you are and what you brought here.
Seven River Lions Club, and we have a check for $500 for Leonardo.
I'm Kay Jones. I am proud to be part of the Suburban Lions Club in 22C, and this check is for $500.
Doing good, right, Leonardo? Yeah.
I'm past District Governor Barbara Brimagin from District 22W. I have two donations. One is a $500 check from my club, the Taylorsville Winfield Lions Club in District 22W. And my second one is a personal check for myself as a new patient here at the Wilmer Eye Institute since August.
Hi, I'm the second vice president of the LaVale Lions Club. I have two checks here for $1,000 each. One's for the operating expenses and then the endowment.
My name is Carol Mahanti. I'm from the Aberdeen Lions Club, and we have a check here today for $1,250.
My name is Ryan Rich Barb, and I'm here to share some of the profits from our demolition derby, $2,000 to the LVRF.
I'm Lion Ted River from the Tallyville Naaman's Lions Club in Wilmington, Delaware. And this is our annual donation, budgeted donation to the LVRF. It's considerably less than $2,600.
Larry Burton, president of the Darlington Lions Club, $600.
I'm Lion Ken Chu from the Bellefonte Lions Club, only 6 years old, so it's a small donation to LVRF.
Bijoy Mahanti from Great District of 22B. We have $15,850 and more checks to come. And this would have never been successful without the coordination of our international director, John Lawrence, and Dr. Goldstein, she left. She was very instrumental sending two outstanding emissaries. One is sitting right here, Dr. Hussain, and the other one, Dr. Brown. He's not here, but they gave a mini LVRF fest at in 22B. Dr. Goldstein, she's here. Much gratitude. Without her being instrumental, wouldn't have done this. Besides, we heard a lot of gratitude from two of the great storytellers. And one of them has been coming here since she was six years old. Now she's 24, trying to get her a PhD. And we learned of how much she loves you, Kristen, and Heather, and the whole staff. And we know that, and we didn't have enough words to hear from them. And our much gratitude. And the last, not but the least, we recruited 2 lions from there, and Sandy and her mother. And we will be gifting them to Suzette, and you'll be getting them. And we don't want to hear that we betrayed you. You'll be getting 2, and you lost me, and you'll get 2 or more. Thank you all.
Hi, I'm Past District Governor Sandy Halterman from the Gateway Lions 22C, and we're presenting a check for $500. And I also have a personal check from Lions Courtney McAuliffe and Lion Cornelia McAuliffe for their donation.
Good afternoon. I'm past District Governor Sonia Wiggins from the Rockville Lions Club in 22C, and we would like to donate $1,000 to LVRF.
Good afternoon. I'm past District Governor Owen Landis from the District 22A, and I'm proud to donate from our Jarrettsville Lions Club in Harford County, Maryland, $5,000.
Past District Governor Andrew DeMario from 22W, Kleinburg, Manchester Lions Club. We have a small check, $250.
Good afternoon. I'm Dick Leitner from the Deer Park Lions Club, and my club is donating $900 to LVRF. And also have a donation from Aim for Sight. And I want to thank those who helped support us for Aim for Sight. We really did good just because of your support, we've been able to do it. I got a check here for $5,065.46.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Smith with the Glade Valley Lions Club. This is my first time attending a Vision Fest, and oh my goodness, how inspiring. I have a check for $600.
Hi, I'm Sue Baldwin from the Libertytown Unionville Lions Club, and I have two checks, one of $700 from our club, and then a $300 check, so we have $1,000 altogether, from our member, Jack Nemus.
Hold on a second. I'm Glenn Richards from Leonardtown Lion Club, St. Mary's County. We have $1,000.
I'm Bill Studanek, Vice President of the Leisure World Lions Club in Silver Spring. I have two checks. One's a check for $500 from the Leisure World Lions Club. The other is a personal check from myself and my wife, Kathy. We're glad to be here.
So we have a donation from the Roaring Run Lions Club, $2,500.
Leonardo, I think we need to do a high five here, right? Thank you all. Thank you all. All right. Dr. Dagnelli wishes to make a presentation. So I'm going to let him come to the podium now.
I am not standing here as a Johns Hopkins Lions Low Vision Center researcher. I'm standing here as a member of the Suburban Lions Club. And those of you who are not Lions, you have to know who Melvin Jones is. He's the founder of Lions Clubs International. And there is a award that is handed out by clubs to people they particularly admire, esteem, want to thank for all they've done. And the way these clubs can do that is once they make a certain number of donations or a certain amount of donations to Lions Clubs International Foundation or to other organizations associated with the Lions, they get to donate one of these awards. And so my club had an award that they wanted to donate, and I swear I had nothing to do with it, but they told me they absolutely wanted to give this award to Dr. Judy Goldstein. Needless to say, I did not object.
Very first Lions Award. Thank you, Lions.
All right, come on in. I'll have to get you off the stage here. I know one thing, when the treasurer finally tabulates everything, I know that $184,000 number is going to go down. So thank you all very much.
So while they're tabulating that, I will say, when we're finished here, there are box lunches available. We have plenty for everyone. So please take the opportunity to have a box lunch, talk with the people that you don't know, and I have a challenge. So for the youngest eye care professional in the room, I challenge you to find and talk to the oldest lion in the room. For the senior most eye care professional, I challenge you to find the youngest lion in the room. Okay? I'm ready. Wow. That's Pat, 48,790 and 46 cents. Right? Again, I thank all of you for coming out today. I thank everyone who watches this on video. Thank you for your continued support to Lions and to the LVRF. Have a nice day. Thank you. Oh, wait, never mind. Sit back down.
I have the honor of announcing that lunch is next door.
Thank you.
Thank you.